Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today is 31st of December 2021 and I would like to take this opportunity to wish you a very happy new year. I just wish you all the best for 2022, okay? And to celebrate this special occasion, we are going to have a lovely guest. His name is Richard and he's from Connecticut in the USA. So let's see what Richard has to say. Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Enjoy the interview.
Good.
Hello, Richard. How are you?
Good. Just busy left and right as you've experienced with me. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks so much. Thanks for taking the time today for the interview. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
Richard, before we start the game, just tell me where you're from.
Well, I'm from 3 different areas, actually. I go between Connecticut, New Jersey, and Delaware.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 homes in 3 different states. I'm always bouncing through them, so do the work and just relaxing time. But from the U.S., of course.
And which one where were you born?
Connecticut.
I see. So you between 3 states that you've been all through your life.
Correct. Yep.
Oh wow, amazing! And what do you do for a living?
So I'm a realtor for Connecticut and New York. I have an interior designing business, and I have a commercial and residential cleaning business as well.
Tell me a little bit about your business.
So real estate, I've been doing it for 4 years. I've always enjoyed houses and the architectural structure. And with the interior designing of doing that on the side as well, I figured both commingle perfectly well. You get to not only see the interiors of homes when you're showing clients, but you're also able to offer your ideas and you're also able to offer your services as well. Not to mention as well with the cleaning, especially with its residential or even commercial when you do commercial real estate. So pretty much when you're dealing with a client, you have 3 shots of offering 3 services: your real estate business, your cleaning business, and your interior designing business as well.
So they're all connected with each other for sure.
They are. It all depends on who's doing the job and who's doing the tasks and everything. I hate to say it, but not everybody knows how to maybe clean. Some people are good at some things versus others, but if you can design, if you know how to clean, and if you can sell real estate, you're golden. So you can do all 3.
I see. And tell me, between the 3 states, which one do you spend more time and why?
I'd have to say Connecticut. Primarily, it's home. It's where most likely the businesses are always taking place, especially with New York. The market right now is insane here in New York and Connecticut. So most of my time is in Connecticut and New York. Delaware, I will come on the weekends. As you can see, I am in Delaware currently at the moment. So it's my go-to getaway. It's also booming. It's becoming a vast, quick, developing area. And it's people think of farmland just as Connecticut, but I mean, there is farmland, but the way the development here is becoming out of hand in a good way, of course. Connecticut as well, and New York as well. Every section of every state has its farmland and has its city life. So it's all based off of where you want to be, where you want to live.
Absolutely. And how about your family? Which state they are more based?
Connecticut for sure.
I see. Richard, before we start our journey, William the Magic Box, I would like to tell me something interesting about yourself.
I am trilingual. I speak Portuguese, Espanol, and English, of course. My family originated from Portugal. I'm first generation here in the United States. My great-grandfather is the only family member that we know of that is from Spain. So I'm a portion of Spaniard. I'm a little bit of a Spaniard person, but most likely and partially we're Portuguese overall. So I would have to say if we do the breakdown, 12% Spaniard, and then the rest is just English and Portuguese.
I'll tell you something now. I was already about to ask at some point during the interview because your surname, Santos, is very Portuguese.
Yes.
And so I was about to ask if you had any connection and background. So there you go. So your family, which part of Portugal?
Torres Vedras and Torres Novas. So Torres Vedras is near the capital of Lisbon. It's 20 minutes out of Lisbon. And then Torres Vedras is close by to a famous place that almost even Americans know of called Fatima, where it's a very religious town. People go there to pray. They go there to pay respects for family members and for miracles that have happened to them. So that's primarily where both my parents are from.
Have you been there before in Portugal a few times, or?
I have. I went when I was 6, when I was 13, and then ever since I haven't been back there. So it's been, as you can see, it'll be 16 years if I don't go this summer, coming up in 2022. But I believe that we're going to make the trip, especially after if COVID has, come to a halt, hopefully.
I lived in Portugal as well for 5 years before moving to London. I was there, but I was in Porto. I was in Porto for 5 years.
Porto, okay, yes.
Yeah, there for 10 years. Portugal is my second home. Brazil, when I left Brazil, Portugal, I'm so grateful that I had the privilege and the opportunity to live in Portugal. It wasn't my plans, but I'm so glad and grateful because I could see the beginning of where my language came from. Of course, a different accent, right. Totally different. But I'm so grateful that I got to see all the culture, where you come from and everything. So I think I go very often. I go of course, for me, for us here in London, it's easier because like 2 hours on the plane, I just can get there. So the most I can, I go to Portugal, and it's my second home, and it's always gonna have a beautiful place in my heart for sure. And I love it. I just love Portugal.
That's good. Yeah, I have yet to visit Brazil. People ask me all the time, how do you distinct, the Portuguese in Brazil to Portuguese in Portugal? And I tell them the easiest, most way to comprehend is like here in the United Kingdom, in England. They have their English, we have our English here, so they have certain terms that we don't use, and we have certain terms they don't use, just like the Portuguese and the Portuguese in Brazil, as you know. So yes, that's the easiest way to describe it.
And I'll tell you something very funny regarding that. Of course, in Portugal, the Brazilian culture in Portugal is very big. You know what I mean?
Yes.
In Portugal, you can find 3 different soap opera every day on TV. All the channels, all the Brazilian channels, they play in Portugal. So they got used to our language, to the way we talk.
Yeah.
And of course, Portugal is like that, and Brazil is massive compared.
It's huge, yeah.
And when I arrived in Portugal, when I was 19 years old, and it was the very first time when I had the contact with Portuguese language and with other people as well, I couldn't believe I was in a country that speaks Portuguese, because I could understand a word. And I was in Porto. The accent in Porto is much more closed and more, Lisbon is more open, like around the south, the accent's more open. But in Porto, you have no idea how much. I couldn't believe. I was walking the street and people talking Portuguese. I thought for me it was a different language because I couldn't understand anything. Again, I'm so grateful that I spent some time there, because now I understand, now I know. And sometimes when I go out with Brazilian Portuguese friends all together, and Portuguese people are talking, Brazilian go like, huh? What do you mean by that? And I go like, oh, he meant that. Oh, she meant this. It's so funny. It's so funny, hilarious.
Yes, it is different. It's the more north you go, the more that the Spaniard of the English of the Castellano is becoming more meshed in. Like if you say a scene, which means like this, they'll say a sheen, because the SH starts becoming more in play, which of course makes it more difficult for, other foreigners, even from Brazil, to understand, but that's almost the way also to look at it, is kind of here in the US. The more south you go, the more of a southern accent there is, I here in Delaware, and we have people who, they have that southern accent that are from here. And even in South Jersey, where my other home is, in Wildwood, I'm not sure if you know of it, but down there, they start to use more of a little bit of a southern accent. But once you hit Delaware, you're going to hear it more commonly than you would in South Jersey as well.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah. That's what makes it interesting, isn't it? Because you learn a lot as well, going through those different accents and the way people talk. That's the way you learn. Sometimes life gives this opportunity for you to just learning. As I said, I'm so grateful that Portugal came along. It wasn't my plans, and I'm so grateful because I got to see so much and to learn a lot as well. And I fell in love. Portugal for me, it's like, it's, again, my second home for sure.
That's good to hear. That's good.
Richard, so are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views?
I am. Go for it. Ready when you are, Will.
All right. So welcome to William the Magic Box. I've got him a lovely box full of random fun questions. So I'm just gonna play a song now, just for us to move a little bit before the first question. Okay?
Go for it.
Let's do it. I hope you like it. Right, Richard. So just before I pick up the first question, through the game, if there is a question that you don't have an answer for, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay? It's all very friendly, right?
Sure.
First question for you is, what is your idea of a perfect day?
The idea of a perfect day is to really have no limits. When you meet someone, you get to know them, whether it's through nowadays online, social media, and then when you meet each other in person, going out to dinner is always nice. In my opinion, you want to do something where you're both interacting, not, for example, going to the movies where you guys are just both sitting next to one another in each other's presence, but you're looking at a screen. That's basically killing the time rather than going out to eat, to lunch, dinner, breakfast, and communicating with one another while the food is being prepared. You both can show interest on what you like to eat, drink, and the best part about it is, especially if you both have a place that you like to go to that's local, you can both agree to that and you can start sharing your interests from there. Anywhere where you and the significant other could communicate, I think is the best type of date to do, rather than going somewhere where you're both quiet, you're looking at a screen, or someone else is doing the talking while you guys are just both focusing.
Absolutely. And saying that, in your opinion, what's the worst thing someone can say on a first date?
The first thing I think that they could say is automatically try to figure out what someone does for a job within the first few seconds, because there and then you're now gearing it towards, money, and, money is not everything in life. Everybody does their job, everybody works hard, but a lot of people nowadays, what I find to see is that everybody asks right away is, what do you do for work? What do you do for work? And I cannot tell you, William, how many times a day I get asked that question. And I understand they don't know this, but, repeating and repeating and repeating, you find it exhausting, and you begin to wonder, are you getting to know me, or do you want to just, is this a job application, or, or I love to say a mortgage company where they're asking you what you do. So I think, getting to know the person themselves, about them truly, versus what they do for a living right off the bat, is probably the best thing to do. I understand at some point that will come up, that question, but I think that's something to be used, further on, not right away in the first few minutes, of you going out with someone on a date, or, even especially through social media before meeting them. To me, I think that's a turn off.
Good. Wow. Good one. I love it. I love the way you explained that. Amazing.
Thank you.
Let's follow Richard. Let's follow Richard's advice.
Thank you.
Next question. Next question for you is, if you were in a circus, which character would you like to be and why?
I think I would like to be the director of the circus. I find it that, what I do for a living, being an interior designer, you're always the leader. Of course, you'll always take people's opinions. You want to hear people's feedback and opinions. But as a planner and as designing and structuring things out, you get into such a habit of doing that I think that, being in a circus, I think I would be the director of it, to try and direct it as well as I can and enjoyable for everybody, and put as much detail as I can.
Wow. Next one.
Yeah.
Richard, before the next question, as you can see how much you enjoy your work, how much you appreciate that, but what's the most challenging part of it? And what do you like the most about it?
The challenging part about all three is getting your client to say they love it. In the midst of the moment, you can have clients saying, this is what I want, this is what I love, this is what I've been looking for. And then a few days can go by and they can say, actually, this is not what I love, this is not what I wanted. I want something totally different. Some things people say don't change overnight, but unfortunately, in the designing business and in the real estate market and in that business, things absolutely can change within the blink of an eye. So one of the challenging things, which is the main goal that we want to achieve, is to make our clients happy. From, your creations to, finding the perfect home for people. So that's one of the biggest challenges. So there is a challenge in that, and then there also is a goal. So, you like to see the person happy at the end, of course, but, trying to get them impressed and, getting exactly what they are looking for is the challenge.
Yes, I had the other day as well, interviewed someone from Philadelphia, and he's a interior designer. He said exactly the same thing. Said, William, sometimes the clients have, when they see this beautiful thing in the store, or they think that's gonna be like tomorrow in their place. It doesn't work like that. There are a lot of things.
Absolutely not.
And he was like, sometimes they think that everything's magical. Everything what they see here is gonna be.
There's some magic wand. I tell them, where is it? Is it on Amazon? Is it on eBay? Because I'll gladly buy it. It'll make everybody's life easier. But yeah, I mean, it's in those things, even in homes, if something is slowing down and the client finds that they're not getting what they want, or it's not within their time frame, we get the blame, and then it makes it look like we're at fault, we're not doing our job. And truly, in fact, it is the opposite. We are doing as much as we can to get things as fast as we can. So we do what we can. Everybody who is in the same field as me, we do what we can to try and make everybody happy as much as possible. That's why the attention to details is very important in your, because it Absolutely.
can make a big difference in the end of the whole big picture. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Detail usually is everything, depending on what field you work in. And in my field, it is the key to everything.
Very good. Next question for you is, which talent do you wish you had?
I would say probably doing gymnastics. I see the flexibility on these people, and you're just like thinking to yourself, are they made of elastic? How are they able to bend themselves, to the shape and form that they do? I mean, I drop my phone or something on the floor, I pick it up, I'm already aching about back pain. Never mind about these people who are doing gymnastics. So I give them a lot of credit. So it is very impressive. Yeah. I mean, even, I'm an avid gym person. I go every day to the gym. And even some of these people who I see them stretching, I'm like, that is amazing. And you wonder if they do gymnastics or they're just professional stretchers. And, so I give a lot of credit for people who are in gymnastics and have the flexibility to do 3-4 flips consistently and so fast that it's like you lose track of thought after a while of how many they've done already. So I give a lot of credit. If I'm able to ever do that, that would be something I think I would be having to do as a talent.
And imagine their training as well. It's so hard for them. They train
it is.
So much physically. It's a hard work, and they have injuries as well that sometimes it can be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a hard one for sure. Next question, Richard. Let's do it.
Sure.
Right. Next question for you is, what is your favorite kitchen smell?
My favorite kitchen smell? I would have to say the good old-fashioned American apple pie. If we're going to be thorough with desserts, I love it when it's in the oven. I often cook apple pies. I'm actually having a Christmas party this coming Saturday on the 18th, and that is one of the things that I make. So while that's going on in the oven, and as I'm prepping other stuff, it's a good smell. It reminds you of a cozy home, especially that winter feeling. Just because it's something warm, just by the smell of it. But as for actual dinner-wise, a very famous Portuguese dish called alentejana, the smell of it is very good, and it's a mixture, a medley of pork and clams and potatoes. As you know, Will, if you've had it, which I'm sure you have, it's a delicacy that we do love, and just the smell of it, it's like you're already tasting it in your mouth. So those are our two main favorite smells that I do love smelling in a kitchen.
And do you like cooking very often, Richard? Is your thing?
I do. I try to cook as often as I can. I can't say that I'm not Martha Stewart. I'm not a professional, but I mean, from what my mother has taught me, I haven't burned the kitchen down. So that's a plus. And I really haven't, honestly, knock on wood, haven't had a dish where it just gets tossed away. I mean, will it happen? I'm sure at some point it happens to everyone, even the professionals. But so far, it hasn't happened yet. So I'm pretty happy with my cooking.
I think you are a professional chef. You're just being modest, I think. You know what? Which is very interesting, Richard. In Europe, I've been here in England for the last 16 years, and I've met people around Europe, and they always, when we talk about Portugal, all of them, they mention about the food. All of them. It's very interesting how much the Portuguese food is so you know what I mean, famous and tasty as well. They go like, oh my God, really, I had a great time, but the food was the best. Always they say that. And I go like, oh my God, it makes sense. As you know what I mean? The food there is just like unique. You know what I mean? The taste, the flavor, the spicy. It's just only in Portugal.
All the details, everything that's
Yeah.
detailed. Yeah, I mean, you ask an American if they've been to Portugal, and the very first thing that, with food-wise, they talk about is the pastéis de nata.
Of course.
Pastéis de nata, they start to, you see that it's like anxiety gets, then they're like, it's these cream little custards. It's I don't know the name, and I just look at them like, pastéis de nata, and they're like, yes, and they explode, and they're like, it's so good. Oh my God, I wish they had them here. And I tell them, I said, you do know we have them here in the States as well. You just have to go on Google and Google a Portuguese bakery.
Yeah.
And they're like, really? Oh my God, I wouldn't have never thought they existed. And I'm like, absolutely, they have to exist here, especially if it's something very famous that not only Portuguese people love, but especially Americans are beginning to be big fans of. That and kale soup, caldo verde. A lot of people love caldo verde, especially when they go to Portugal and they go to the House of Fathers, and when they serve caldo verde, when there's a father, the people go insane. I mean, people from New York have told me about going to, fathers. They don't understand it, but just the rhythm of it has them so relaxed, and as well as between that and a hot bowl of kale soup called verde, you can't go wrong. And then moving on to sweets, it's the pastéis de nata. So yeah, I'm very happy that people are exploring Portugal. I mean, within the last 5 years, it's been exploding, and I'm happy about it. It's because, 10, 15 years ago, you didn't hear much about Portugal. I mean, people didn't even know where on the map it was. They knew it was in Europe, but they did not know that it was one of the closest countries to the U.S. and that it borders Spain, the sister country. So now you ask anybody if they've been, and about 9 out of 10 have been to Portugal, and they love it and they want to revisit it, and they just say it's a beautiful place. It's gorgeous.
You said something very interesting, Richard, and it makes all sense what you say, because Portugal, when I moved to Portugal in 2002, I remember the only tourists that I saw in Portugal, Porto around the north, was the Spanish people, like from, Vigo, from those areas there, because we couldn't see. Nowadays, when I go to Portugal, you see the whole Europe, like it's a totally different approach. You have no idea. I think because, of course, like for the big star like Ronaldo, he just brought this.
Oh, everybody knows, yeah, immediately.
Imagine Madonna living in Lisbon. Like whoever thought one day Madonna would live in Lisbon? Can you imagine? Lisbon,
and out of all the countries in the world, she chose a foreign one. You'd think maybe England because she's familiar with, the accent and the English, but no, like you said, it's mind blowing. She chose Portugal and she loves it, which I'm very happy. That's, because it shows that if people follow celebrities, if the celebrity loves something, the rest of the public is going to do the same.
No, and at the time I remember living in Portugal at the time, and I remember somebody mentioned to me that some people, like at the time, like talking more 20 years, let's say 20 years ago, some people even thought that Portugal was an area of Spain. Can you imagine? It was like a place of Spain, wasn't even a country. And nowadays Portugal is in the mouth of everyone. Everyone talks about Portugal, and I'm so proud of it as well, because it's so nice to see this small country everywhere in the world.
It's exploding, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to Portugal. Next question. Right, next question for you is, Richard, if you have only 24 hours of life, what would you do?
That is, Will, that is a very good question. I would honestly gather as much family as I can, whether it's in person or on the phone, and friends, and just even anybody that I knew out there. If I had a grudge against them or they had a grudge against me for any reason, usually the old saying is, you want to forgive everybody and be on good terms with everybody before you pass. Just because it's good for your spirit, for those especially who are religious, who believe in heaven. You want to be at peace, and you want those other people to know that you died on good terms with them. So I would gather just about as much as everybody that I can within those 24 hours, and say my farewells to them, and just forgive everybody and show everybody how much I love them and how much I care for them.
Very good. Do you have siblings as well?
I have one half brother in Portugal, two half sisters here, and then I had a 6-year-old brother who unfortunately died in a tragic accident in Portugal when he was 6. As you know, the crazy drivers that they are there in Portugal, he was crossing the road, as he would every day to go to a pastry shop across the street from where him and my parents used to live. And unfortunately, one day crossing, the driver came, hit him, and passed away. So there was 5 of us, but of course now there's 4 of us left.
Sorry to hear that. I think it's,
Thank you.
Those things, we're never ready for those tragic things.
Absolutely not.
Even though when it involves children, that's even more painful. I think it's even more difficult to get over it, I believe.
Yeah.
So
I think, and especially for my father, because his mother is not my mother. My mother and my father are married today, but even for his mother and my father has said it's something you could never, ever be prepared from. So it hurts when you hear on the news that, and not just a child, just anybody, when you see that they've passed away from a murder, from a tragedy of any sort, even an illness, it's hard. It's, even when you still don't know the person, but it's as if, from your experiences of losing people, it's aching, and it's distraught to hear, passing of somebody. And especially, like you said, when it's a child as well, but just about when it's everybody, it's a sore and tough subject, but it's life. Things happen with a blink of an eye, and we never know what's coming at times. So we just try to do the best we can.
Parents never will be ready to be able to deal with those situations. You know what I mean? They always say,
absolutely,
the children are the one who is going to be ready to send their parents away, but never the opposite side. You know what I mean? They're never ready. So. Yeah. But anyway, I think life goes on, and there's always, I'm sure you have very great memories, and always will be there. That's what counts as well, for sure.
Yeah, no, memories are one thing that will never die, so.
Good one. Goosebumps, I've got goosebumps now talking about that. Next question for you, Richard, let's do it.
Sure.
As I can see how much you love Portugal, when you, as the two times been there when you were a child and when you were a bit older, when you close your eyes, what is the memories that comes to you regarding Portugal, being there?
Believe it or not, it's the details again of how everything is in cobblestone, and you can just imagine people walking and talking at cafes. That's what comes to mind. You think of a city, filled with a bunch of people, and like I said, people just conversating everywhere. It's like one big happy family within the city of Lisbon, especially. But you think of taxi drivers, because everybody almost there, especially in the city, they love to use taxis and everything. You see people casually walking in and out of salons, because people on a daily basis will go into a salon there and they will get their hair done because it's so affordable. It's a small luxury. I mean, here you go to a salon, and for women it's $100, $200, $300. I've seen as much as $500 for something so simple. And in Portugal, it's maybe 15 euros, if anything.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you think of a lot of traffic, of people walking, and especially, you think of like a big fountain in the center of town, with a bunch of cobblestone with the cars going over it. And it's a beautiful, classical, timeless, design that Portugal had, even dating back into the 1800s. So it's something that when I close my eyes, I just think of the details that Portugal has in the history. Yeah.
Good. Very good. Next question for you is, if you could be in somebody's skin, in somebody's place for 24 hours, who that would be and why?
Honestly, I would want to be in my father's skin to see, because, he's a man who has not had an easy life for him since a child. I grieve for him a lot because, as I had mentioned to you, losing a son, especially not just any son, it was his first son that he ever had. And that son had a huge attachment to him. So losing a son is tough. Also, he is diagnosed with multiple myeloma cancer, which is a cancer that is in the blood and the bone marrow. It is incurable. So, knowing that every day you are living with a cancer that is incurable, it must be very, very difficult. He was also a lung cancer survivor. So, going through at the same time, but being diagnosed with multiple myeloma, you can only imagine what the strength of this man is. I mean, and being diagnosed with two cancers in 2014, within the span of 9 months, luckily, knock on wood, being cured from lung cancer. And then by December of that year, being back to work. I mean, it is a huge thing. I mean, I tell the story to people and people are just jaw dropping, not understanding how he is working an everyday job like you and I do and the rest of the world, and still can have a smile on his face and be happy. And to me, that is amazing. Along with, he lost his father, my grandfather, when he was 16 to a heart attack. So he lost his father early. But, and just the list goes on. I mean, it's people tell us, we're like the Kennedys because we just had so many tragedies and everything happen in our life. But we just have to keep on going. We have no choice. And honestly, my father, within 65 years, he's gone through a lot. And I think to know what it's like would be something mind-blowing and I'm sure painful, but also able to seeing how someone, of that can just take on so much in life and still have a sane, clear mind and be able to show love and have a family and just live his life every day, regardless with what's coming at him and what's came at him already in the past.
Wow. I think he'll be very proud to see that. I think it's very interesting sharing that, Richard, because sometimes we find ourselves in some very situation that we think is like the end of the world, but there are situations
Absolutely.
out there people are facing that is drastically, and you have no idea how much they are suffering or they are facing or they are fighting.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we just face like something not that very, serious, and you take in a very drastically away. And it's good sharing that because people, they can see that sometimes a little thing, it's just a little thing. Don't make a little thing a big thing, because there are people that are facing big challenge in their lives. And sometimes it's good to hear that for us to realize how lucky we are and how much we have. Sometimes we forget that and we take granted out of it. So
absolutely.
Thanks for sharing. Thank you very much.
No, anytime. My pleasure.
What's his name?
His name is Valdemiro. We call him here in America. Everybody always says either Valdemir or Vladimir. They can never pronounce Valdemiro. I mean, Valdemiro, it's not an easy name, but it's a very unique name. But everybody just calls him Val for short.
A few years ago, I was working with a Portuguese guy, and his name was João. And people, so they were calling him João.
João, yeah. There was a show here in America on Bravo TV called Below Deck, and there is one, and I'm not sure if he's Portuguese or not, or Brazilian, but his name is João, but they would call him João. And and I'm like, it sounds like they're saying ow, 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 like they hurt themselves. So I mean, for us, it's funny for us because we know, they're trying to genuinely, pronounce it, but it's like they're saying Joe and then ow, like Joe ow, like you got her or something. But it's to us,
it was a hotel, and the general manager, he was from Scotland, and then when he was making fun, when he was calling João, he was like, João, because he couldn't say João. It was so funny. João, come here, like explosion. João, come here.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's funny. I mean, not in just in Brazil and Portugal. I mean, you have other countries where they have names that I have friends that have some unique names that are from Poland and everything, and it's different. I mean, for example, Joseph in English is John or Joe or or Joey, Joseph, but it's in their language you're like Joseph, you're like, what the heck is Joseph? Things like that. And like in Polish, Richard is Ryszek, and you're like, who? So it's funny. I mean, especially if someone tries to pronounce it and they can't, to the person where that name originated from, it's funny to them because we know what the pronunciation is, but it's charming to see when people try to push to say a special name.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Next question. Ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Do it. Right. Next question for you is, Richard. Would you rather be invisible or be able to fly? And what would you do?
I think I'd want to fly. I mean, flying, because you could fly anywhere, anytime. I mean, I sit in lots of traffic, and believe me, the amount of times that I wish I could just open the two car doors and make them into wings and just lift the car up in the air and just fly. So I would definitely choose flying. You're in one place, you want to fly somewhere else, you could just fly at any moment of, at any time. And there's so much to see in the world. So it's like, why not take advantage? Seeing different cultures, different faces, different people, just everything wherever you go is going to certainly be different. Invisibility, you're kind of like, no one's seeing you. And then knowing my luck, if I chose invisible and I can't make myself visible again, I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. I'm invisible. I'm like Harry Potter with the invisible cloak, except there is no cloak. You're invisible. So I would rather choose flying over being invisible anytime.
I think actually sometimes you can be visible if you want to. Do you know what I mean? You kind of can be visible. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can be if you want to. But usually when you think about being visible, there's always something naughty behind of it, or there's always something like, well, be in a place that's prohibited, something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you're in a concert and you're watching a certain singer, I mean, you are invisible because the poor person that's performing is just seeing hundreds of thousands of people, and they can't just focus on one person, especially while they're performing.
For sure.
So invisible is sometimes good, but I would absolutely still choose flying over anything else.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
Next question. Right. Before the next question, and being an interior designer, let's say someone would like to start a career as interior designer. What would be your best piece of advice for this person? Would you like to go into this business?
The best thing is to foreshadow an interior designer. I understand nowadays everything requires a college degree. And there are classes in college to obtain a degree to be an interior designer. But sometimes, just as in every field, it's easier to foreshadow because you can see and you can be hands-on. You can see how things are. You can see how body languages from customers are. You can see how time framing works. And in school and in college, you really don't see any of that. You're sitting and you're looking at a professor going over things on, you have to do measurements for this. You have to do, color with this, but it's never going to be the same as if you're doing something hands-on. So if somebody wanted to be an interior designer, the best advice that I would give them is to be with somebody who's experienced, who is knowing what, interior designing is, and just work next to them and just watch what they do. And also, especially most importantly, watch how the clients react. I mean, we're always going to get different clients that have different personalities, different likings. I mean, it's always going to be different. It's not going to be the same. And I find that in colleges, a lot of people, won't even use half the things that they learn in college. So it's all about experience. That's why internships, when people do internships, I always hear them saying, oh my God, it is nothing like what I learned in college. And I tell them absolutely, because half of the stuff you're not going to learn in college. You're going to learn it more in internships and foreshadowing, being with, if you want to be a doctor, internship being with a doctor. You want to be a teacher, foreshadowing being a substitute teacher or teacher's assistant. And same with an interior designer. You will become the assistant of an interior designer, and you will learn a lot. I feel that being in the presence of somebody, of something that you want to be, is probably the best way to do it and go about it.
Good, very good, Richard. Thank you.
Sure.
Next question for you is, what bores you?
What bores me? I would say sitting in traffic the whole entire time. I find it to be miserable because, I commute every day for work, and always in the same place on I-95, exit 16 in Connecticut. It's like a habit that everybody has to break. And then what irks me even more is the amount of space that these drivers leave between one another. And I just think to myself, COVID, with social distancing got to them so much that they're social distancing with cars now on the highway. And it's ridiculous. Well, I mean, I don't know where you are, how traffic is here. The gaps, you could put, I'm not even kidding, 3 sedans in between these spaces, and this is what's causing the traffic. And then a lot of them are on their phones. Every person you pass, 3 out of 5 are just on their phones while the car is going slow. And you're wondering then why, accidents occur and why things are taking so long. So I think what bores me a lot, honestly, is traffic. I mean, it's just the fact that everybody could be, doing it much better than what they are, leaving some space to brake, but you're going 10 miles an hour. You're not going 55 or 80 where you have to leave a gap for 3 cars to fit in. And, I think lately that is what has been boring me, aside from anything else that I've been doing. So I would have to pick traffic. Yeah.
Wow, what an answer, my God. Imagine, I felt like tired now about the traffic, my goodness.
It's exhausting.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. 3 questions left for you, okay? Let's do it. Richard, next question for you is, what are you most passionate about?
I would have to say probably, that's a very good question. I think about making sure that I could see that everybody around me is okay. How am I passionate about that? If someone needs help and if I can help them in any way, I'll do it. Hands on. I mean, it can be if somebody is stranded in the car with running out of gas. If somebody, needs just about anything, I'd be happy to help them. And as long as I could see that, an assure of reliefness and being happy, I mean, that makes me happy. I find it passionate to, make sure that everybody is good and is happy and especially healthy. I mean, if someone tells me they don't feel good, but they'll ignore it, I mean, I just tell them, I'm like, no, you've got to go to the doctor. You've got to go to the doctor. Don't think that, pain in the leg that's, causing pain now goes away. Doesn't mean that it's solved on its own. So, usually I try to make sure that everybody around me is as healthy as possible, as happy as possible. Because, the old saying, you only live once, and time is limited, unfortunately. So trying to make sure that everybody could take advantage as much as they can of time, it's something that I like to see. And just seeing everybody happy. I mean, with what's going on nowadays, you just hear a lot of sad things and a lot of, depressing things. Everybody is depressed. So trying to keep everybody alive and happy as much as possible, I think is something that I would find passionate in. And, a lot of people do come to me for advice, which, believe it or not, I had originally gone to school to be a psychologist. So, yes, just being based off of them seeing me having the stuff that had happened to me in life, to, also thinking of the way I think it would be almost like a psychologist. I find it comforting when someone wants to come in and confide in me, even about, embarrassing things that it's hard for them to talk about or just about anything. But being able to help them, and at the end of the day, them having a smile on their face and being thankful for, me helping them in any way that I can. It's something that I find that I have passion in.
I'll tell 2 things about what I just said. The first one, I think people around you, they're very lucky to have you around, because I think having someone like ready and feel passionate about helping and be there for them, I think it's a good quality. Second one, I think people, they come after you for that reason, because you have this very approachable personality. Like people, they feel approachable, come to you, open up to you. I think that's it's a gift. I think not everyone is like that. And some people, when they have this approachable personality, people, they feel safe, they feel secure to come to you and open up and talk. Sometimes, I'm sure you have situations that people come up to talking to you, open up about secrets, and you'll be like, oh my God, I even don't have this closeness with this person. How come this person
Absolutely.
to me?
Absolutely. And I've had coworkers in my real estate office. They, they get so comfortable, which I love, because I mean, it's me. I'm not one where I'm like, oh, tell me what's going on, and then I'm going to tell the next person. I'm like, what you tell me stays between us, and and that's it. You can confide me in everything. And I notice a relief on people's faces, because let's face it, everybody has to sometimes vent, and a lot of my friends will vent to me, and And one of the biggest things that I'd rather have even just anybody vent to me is because a person wants to vent, and if nobody is there to listen to them, they will start to feel that they're not cared for, they're not loved, nobody wants anything to do with them, which can result into depression and, hardcore, majorly severe depression, which can, result the, execution of their own life. Unfortunately, I've had that happen to friends. So that's why I'm very, very, always cautious and checking in on friends, and even just checking in on people, and just to know when people reach out to me, it's comforting to know that, they have me on their mind. They know that there's at least somebody out there that's going to care for them, that's going to at least take the time to try and give them as much advice as they can and to help them, for sure.
It's about being approachable and open-minded. When you are like that, people, even though if they don't know you, but they can feel it. You know when to talk to someone, when you talk to people around you, even though you don't know them. For example, I'm talking to you now. I'm just meeting you now, and I can feel this approachable, like being approachable, being open-minded, and people, they like that, and people, they come to you, and even they don't know you very well, they just feel safe, in a safe place to talk about it, or to open up, or to share some moments. So I think that's it's a gift. Keep it.
Thank you.
2 questions left.
Let's do. No worries.
Right. So before the next question, Richard, how did you learn Portuguese? Like, for example, I like to ask this question because I've got some friends as well that they have their parents, foreign parents, they live in another country. And I do, like, they were talking Portuguese with you. Was it like a rule at home, you need to talk just Portuguese, or how did you learn Portuguese?
So believe it or not, Will, I started since I was as young as I can remember of talking. Portuguese was spoken at home. It was not mandatory, but it was just natural. It was easier for my parents. My parents have been here both for over 30 years now. So at 28 years old, they were here in the States, but, still new. So, let's face it, our own native language is what we would like to speak most of the time. So they taught me, and I remember certain words that I would say. I wasn't pronunciating them correctly, but of course, as you got older, today I'm happy to be thankful that I'm fluent extremely in speaking. So at home was Portuguese, and then school was English, and at home, even to this day, we'll speak English and Portuguese, and we could do a sentence in Portuguese and throw some English words in there, vice versa. Which is not us showing off to one another. It's natural. And my friends, they go, we just love it when we hear you talking 2 languages back and forth, and just even when you do Spanish, Portuguese, and English at once, and you get to the point where you don't even notice it because you're just so used to doing it, So so at home it was primarily Portuguese, and at school was English. But there was no rule. Like, I know some households here in the U.S., especially when immigrant parents came, they wanted their kids to speak perfect English because they did not want them to either get bullied or anything for not being able to speak proper English, or to speaking their parents' native language is. But for us, we never had a rule, But I'm grateful for that. I see my cousin today, though, could speak some Portuguese. Some words are a little tough for him to speak. He's 17 now, but you could talk to him in Portuguese and he'll understand everything. But the pronunciations are a little tough. But as long as you can either understand one or speak it, either one or it's fine. But I think my aunt and uncle, they spoke to him in Portuguese, especially my uncle is from Venezuela, but his family are descendants from Madeira, Portugal. But I think they tried putting my cousin with, speaking in Spanish a little bit, but I think Portuguese was the winner there. So, but he of course speaks English fluently. But yeah, between my parents and me, Portuguese was spoken at home.
Very good. Next question for you is, define yourself in a season of the year and why?
I would say summer. Reason is because it's a time of the year where everybody is at their happiest. The weather is beautiful. Flowers are out a lot, a lot of colors. So it makes everybody happy. Everybody goes wild, going out to clubs, beaches, bars. You don't see really anybody with a sad face or any fun feeling down. And the source from the sun, vitamin C from the sun is one of the best, or it's vitamin D, I believe. I think it's vitamin D. Yeah. I'm not a doctor, so I know it's a vitamin. I believe vitamin D, I'm going to say.
I've learned that being London, because there's no much sun in London, so they talk about vitamin D.
Vitamin D, yes. Vitamin C is from orange juice. Yes, I'm sorry. So yeah, a source of vitamin D is important that people, have, that their body's taking vitamin D. So, and, let's face it, we get a nice tan as long as we're not so much in the sun where, a lot of people get burned. I don't have that trouble, because of, being, my parents are also naturally have that olive skin. But it's summer, I think, is the best time of the year, in my opinion. And even the nights are warm, and you can hear crickets chirping, and you hear cicadas, and just everything is so alive that I think it would, if I had to describe myself, it would be summer for sure.
And is your birthday around summertime as well or not? Summer?
No, my birthday is in April. I'm a spring baby. I'm a spring baby. I was born
getting closer to summer, like flying to summer, literally.
Sort of, yeah. It's still a little mild and cold, and things are just starting to sprout and everything. But it's a lot of rain still, but it's nothing like summertime.
Great, summer boy. You are the summer boy.
Absolutely.
Let's go for the last question. Ready?
Sure.
Richard, before the last question, of course, for the last 18, 19 months, the world went upside down regarding the COVID situation, yeah? For you, what's the most positive thing you took out of this challenge journey?
I think it's to see the fact that a lot of people pulled through, regardless of catching COVID or not. Many of them succeeded, not only health-wise, financially, thankfully, and people could still laugh about things and, make jokes of stuff. And, you could still see that even something so drastic, such as like this, that hasn't happened since, I believe, the Spanish flu and the Black Plague, which was in 1920 and the beginning of the Roaring '20s, people still have been able to pull through. I think that, people around my age, your age, and so on, have gone through a lot. I mean, we've gone through a Great Depression. We've gone through the big 9/11 tragedy in New York City. We've gone through COVID. We've gone through a lot. I mean, it's a lot to bear. But at the end of the day, on top of, everyone's personal life, it's what's happened to them, and what's happening to the world. We all still manage to pull through, regardless of what's going on that you see on the news or what's going on in front of us, out and about in our everyday lives. So the fact that we're all able to smile and pull through at the end of the day and still have laughter and all of this, I think is the most positive thing right now.
I think it's so beautiful to see the human being, like everyone adjust ourselves to this new world, you know what I mean? With technology, people with the mask, we are just adjusting ourselves. It's a different world right now. It's everyone going in a different direction. We are just adjusting and put ourselves in this new world, which is, you know what I mean? We are changing. The world's changing right now a lot.
It is, yeah, from weather to the way we live to everything. But like I said, everything, the world is always spinning and the world is always changing. It's, there's always new things that are happening, updates, new creations, new tragedies, but, also, new life and new experiences, for the best.
Absolutely.
So, nothing will ever be always the same or consistent. Change will always be in all of our lives, for sure.
Absolutely. Last question for you, Richard. Let's do it. Sure. What is your all-time favorite band and why?
I don't know that I would have a favorite band, to be honest, Phil. I like EDM, club music, disco, especially from the 80s and such. So there are so many different ones, even Portuguese singers and even like, it just, the list goes on. So I get asked that, just very often as just a curious question. And I tell everybody, I don't really have one specific one because, in that type of genre of music, there's so many different details in every song and every singer is different. And, they have some songs that are good. They have some songs that are not so good, but It's too different to be able to focus on one and say this is the one. But I mean, one that I do like, it's Electric Swing. It's by Caravan Palace.
Okay.
It's not something so popular out there, but they're getting there. And more people are hearing them. They like them. But like I said, they are so different from all the others that I've heard. You know, typical David Guetta, Avicii. I mean, you name it. It's very, very different. Each type of song and each band that plays and everything, and each DJ, everything. So I would have to say all of them at this point.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
It's not the end yet, okay? Let's play now the word association game. I'm going to give away some words and just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. I'm sure it's going to be very easy for you, very sure.
Sure.
Family, one word.
Parents.
Money.
House.
Love.
Spouse. Or, well, not spouse. Well, I wouldn't say spouse. I would say significant other is the right word. I'm sorry. Significant other.
Okay. How about life?
I would say being born.
Okay. Sex.
Intimacy.
Politics.
President.
Religion.
We think of God.
Fear.
Death.
Friendship.
I would say close friends.
Desire.
Goals.
Regrets.
Past.
Success.
Career.
Wish.
Wish could be many things.
How about happiness?
Family.
One word for USA.
USA. I would say people.
And the last one now, Portugal.
Culture.
Good one. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your best friend for a coffee, and I'm going to ask your best friend, what is the most beautiful thing about Richard, and what's something that he still needs to improve on, to work on? What do you think your best friend will tell me?
My best friend, she would probably say that her and I are identical, honestly. Believe it or not, we have very similar features, which is hysterical. And the way we think, the way we act. There have been times where we've thought about one another, and we were texting, and I'm not kidding you, as soon as we both hit the send button without even knowing, we both get text messages at the same time. And
Wow.
and it's happened with calls, and we're like, it's crazy. You know, we've been friends since 2011. On 9/11 is when we met, in 2011, and we've been best friends since. Her 3 daughters are my 3 goddaughters.
Oh my God.
We're like family.
Oh.
What I would need to work on, and lately we were just having this conversation, is you need to answer your phone calls because you're always busy. I don't know what's more unheard of, she said, you or Bigfoot. And we thought it was hysterical. I mean, her and I, we're inseparable. I mean, it's, you know, the way we think of things, it's very alike, and we haven't had it easy throughout our lives. So we have a lot in common, just naturally, not anything that we both have planned out or whatever. So it's something good. I mean, but aside from probably being more consistency with answering the phones when she calls or texts me, because I'm always so occupied with work and everything, that's the only downfall I think that she would say. Or being stubborn when I focus on one thing, and when I'm like dedicated to one thing, I think that's, same with like an answer, like that's what I'm going for, and that's what I'm going to stick to, type of thing. And she's the same thing as well.
Wow, amazing. Richard, so now let's play Richard and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. But before that, let's play the music one more time. Let's do it.
Sounds good.
Oh, I got some moves of you in the end. Good. But before you ask me a question, Richard, tell me, what's your favorite Portuguese word?
My favorite Portuguese word, I think, has to be frigorífico. The reason is, and I'll tell you that this goes back to when I was small and I had trouble to say some words. that was one of the hardest words to say as a kid, and my family would die laughing. But still, but so to this day, I'll look at them and I'll be like, "Do you need anything from the frigorífico?" And they'll just start laughing because they go, "Did you know?" And I'm like, "Yes, I've heard this many times." And I was small. I used to not be able to say it. I would say every single other word properly except that one. I think I would say frigorífico. I think something like that. But the R, just as for everyone today, it was so difficult to speak it. Now today it's a breeze. So I'll always pause and I'll say the word and I'll look at them, and it always gets to them. So I think that has to be the one of the most favorite words to say.
Do you know how we say in Portuguese from Brazil, frigorífico?
How do they say it?
Geladeira.
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 I've heard of geladeira, but when I think of geladeira, I think of I don't know, something with jello. Maybe the gelatina, geladeira, things like that.
All connected.
So, yeah, it all connects.
You can ask me a question now, Richard.
So, well, where do you see yourself within the next 10 to 15 years from now?
Wow, what a question. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Right, so I see myself, Richard, with this channel in a bigger proportion. I've got other projects as well connect with this one that I can't wait for the channel to be more visible worldwide, for me to start putting other projects along as well. But to answer to your question, I see myself doing this job full time, is in a bigger proportion, and even more be able to travel the world, and I will for sure travel the world with this project. And I also would like to be more able to do that in a bigger proportion, and be able to do that in different languages as well. I start doing Portuguese as well now, and actually I'm going to invite you for the season 2 to do in Portuguese with me. I will invite you.
Oh, I would absolutely.
And
let me know.
So yeah, in 10, 15 years, I see myself with this project. Maybe as well. I think this is when you do something with love, with passion, I think it go in different directions. And I think this is I see this project as an open door that's trying to be wide open. And I think that's where I see myself doing this job in a bigger proportion, do it full time, and be able as well to be connect with much more people around the globe, and be able for them to connect with each other as well. That's for sure.
That's great. No, I have a lot of faith in you, and I think it'll work out just perfectly.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Richard, did you have a good time? Did you enjoy the interview?
I did. This was very different. It was good, and it's fun at the same time. It's different because you don't know what you're going to get asked, and the way our brains work, when as soon as you start asking a question, the brain kicks in, and it's like, get your answers ready. So it's good, and it's good for a person to literally, even if you have to pause and think like I did, there's nothing wrong with that. If you have an answer for everything, that's perfect. So I think this was different. It was something good. And like I said, when you do season 2 in Portuguese, I'm up for it. So you just let me know.
Absolutely. Sure. I will, for sure. And the whole thing about the channel is they're not right or wrong answer. It's just your point of view. That's what matters. That's how the aim of the show.
Which is good, yeah.
Before you go, I would like you to share just a positive message, a positive quote, something that inspires you in life.
What I would have to say to people is, no matter what goes on in the world, and no matter what happens in life, kindness is key. Don't let anybody walk over you, but also don't be rude back to them, because we live such short lives, and we've already have a lot of misery occurring in the world today, and what we've already had happen in the past. And if someone is slowing you down for a minute, it's not worth getting frustrated over it. If something small is going on that's not going well, it's not worth making it, a huge big deal about it. And if something on you breaks, and it can be repaired, there's no use in really being frustrated about it. I mean, I used to be like that, If something broke, I would make it seem like it's the end of the world. But as I got older, if something breaks, all right, it breaks. You move furniture and you dent a wall. All right, you don't have to get frustrated. You just, spackle that up, paint it and it looks good as new. You won't even notice that you put the dent in there to begin with. So, my message is, there's no use in stressing ourselves out. We already are stressful under our jobs and things that are going on. So adding to that, and fighting with people, it's just, you gain nothing from it. So I hope everybody, can just be as positive as they can with one another. Even just a nod, when you're in a supermarket going, past someone, if they look at you, you look at them, just smile. There's no need for dirty looks or anything negative, because let's face it, we all want to be happy in the end.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to contribute to try and, spread positivity in any way that you can, it's not gonna happen. So, it's easy. A simple smile to someone else is something that's already improvement for the world.
Absolutely. It makes a difference. A smile can change the world. A smile can change people's lives, can change people's moods, can change everything. Let's smile.
Smiling is contagious.
It is. And adding to that as well, if you want to change your life, start to smile every morning in the mirror, and you're going to see a big difference in your life, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my God, Richard, I really enjoyed the interview. Oh my God, amazing. So lovely connecting with you. Oh my God, what a beautiful approach of life you have. I really enjoyed. I think as soon as I started the camera, start the interview, I was like, oh my God, that's going to be a very good one. And I was very right. Thank you so much for being yourself.
Not a problem. My pleasure.
So open, and for always spreading this beautiful message, positive message around the world. That's what matters. Okay, thank you so much.
Anytime, William. My pleasure.
Keep in touch, okay? All the best.
Absolutely. You as well, William.
Bye.
Take
Happy
care.
New Year. Bye.
You as well. Ciao. Bye-bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye. See you next time.